At the beginning of the movie, we see a church in old Madrid with a cemetery in front of it that is being dug up. A girl named Juana asks her mother why people are taking out the dead bodies. Her mother replies that they are making space. Juana then asks where they will go, but her mother says she does not know. They then enter the church, where Holy Communion is taking place. A priest named Father Ciero tells 4 children that the sacrament they are about to receive today may guide and light up every step of their lives. The children are then given sacramental bread one by Father Rocco. Meanwhile, outside the church, a coffin containing the body of a demon is being taken out. Suddenly, inside the church, one of the boys, Miguel, Juana's brother, vomits the bread after eating it and finds himself in another realm. He hears loud banging sounds and becomes terrified when he sees a demonic white nun, causing him to faint. At the same time, Wana also sees a demonic mistress inside the church and wets herself in fear. She tells her mother that the saint scares her. Later, she tells Father Quina that Saint Simeon looked at her. He assures her that Saint Simeon will protect both her and her brother. He tells Wana that whenever she feels scared, she should sing softly, and her fear will go away, showing that Father Quina shares a close bond with her. On the other hand, Miguel tells Father Ciero that he went to another realm, a place surrounded by graves, like a crypt. Father Ciero then hears a door opening, which deeply frightens him. Later, during the communion gathering outside, a girl notices that another girl still has the label attached to her dress. Embarrassed, she angrily tells her boyfriend about it and quickly rushes to the washroom to remove it. She takes out a pair of scissors, intending to cut off the label, but in a horrifying turn of events, she chops her tongue instead. She comes out of the washroom with her mouth covered in blood, leaving Wana and her brother terrified at the sight. As she walks into the gathering area, everyone is shocked to see her in that condition. In a sudden and tragic moment, she lunges at her boyfriend, and both of them fall from the building onto the road below, dying on the spot. Witnessing this leaves Wana and Miguel deeply traumatized and terrified.
Comment, subscribe to Recaps Horror.
The movie then shifts forward in time, and we see a team of police officers and an engineer visiting Father Ciero at the church to investigate the electrical issue. Father Ciero tells them that he cannot help them anymore, but the officers insist. Reluctantly, he takes them inside. He hands the key to a locked door to one of the officers, while he himself quietly holds onto a sharp object. As they enter, the engineer suddenly feels a hand on her shoulder, but when she turns around, no one is there. She then pulls a lever to turn on the lights, but it suddenly explodes, causing the entire church to lose power. In the darkness, terrifying demons suddenly appear, shocking everyone. The creatures look up at them and then attack, killing 2 of the officers one by one. The engineer tries to escape, but the door slams shut. Panicking, she attempts to call for help, and then notices that her hand is badly injured. Just then, a demon approaches her, and she screams as it attacks and kills her. Father Ciero arrives, and overwhelmed by fear and hopelessness, he takes his own life. We are then introduced to Father Angel, who visits a church to meet Wana, now an adult, and living as a nun. Father Angel meets the Mother Superior and requests to see Sister Wana. The Mother Superior tells him that she will pass on his request. However, Father Angel insists that he wants to speak to Wana personally. She explains that it is not possible because in 10 minutes they will begin compline, followed by silence until 6:30 a.m. She offers him a place to stay for the night, and he agrees. Later that night, a sister takes Father Angel to his room. She tells him that if he hears noises during the night, he should not be afraid. Just then, he hears someone screaming and asks who it is. The sister replies that it is Miguel, but when he asks who Miguel is, she simply walks away without answering. Sometime later, Father Angel is unable to sleep. He sees someone sitting on the bed beside him, but when he switches on the light, no one is there. Still, the mattress remains pressed down, as if an unseen presence is sitting there. The next morning, Mother Superior takes Father Angel to meet Wana. He introduces himself and says that Archbishop Father Rocco sent him. Juana asks if Rocco sent him to apologize to her, but he denies it and says she is known as the country's finest restorer. Juana replies that St. Simeon Church in Old Madrid is not worth restoring and asks what he knows about it. Angel says it is one of the oldest churches in Madrid, but Juana firmly states that she never wants to go back there. He then tells her that last week, 4 people died at St. Simeon, 2 police officers, an engineer, and Father Ciro. Hearing Father Ciro's name shocks Juana. Later, Juana discusses this with Mother Superior, who advises her to go, reminding her that she has a unique gift and should also think about Miguel and the other sisters. Angel tries once again to convince her, but Juana says that Rocco knows only she can face whatever is waiting down there. Later, while packing to leave, Sister Mara requests that Juana take her along, saying that as an archaeologist, she could help. Juana warns her that she has no idea what lies beneath that church, but Mara still insists, and Juana reluctantly agrees. Later, as they leave for St. Simeon Church, Angel asks Juana why she has something against that church. She replies that she got married there, which shocks him. Soon, Juana, Angel, and Mara meet Father Rocco, who has grown very old. He tells Juana that it has been a long time since they last saw each other, and says he hopes Angel has already explained what is happening there. Juana replies that he has not told her in detail. Rocco explains that a week ago, the crypt of St. Simeon was opened. Juana asks why that was allowed, and he says it happened because of an electric company blunder. When Juana asks why she was called, he tells her that she is the only one who truly understands what lies inside that church, and that her discretion makes her the right person for the mission. He tells her they need to buy some time and find the Seal of San Simeon. He adds that Father Ciro was certain of its existence, and Rocco asks her to bring proof that it lies beneath St. Simeon. Once they have evidence, the administrative process to protect the site can begin. He explains that in the modern world, no wall is stronger than paper. Unless they find something within 2 weeks, City Hall will begin construction, and they will lose control of the church. He then shows them a model of the church, explaining that Father Ciro spent years secretly building it to prove that the Seal of San Simeon exists. The church stands above a hidden network of underground catacombs and forgotten tunnels. Rocco says, Ciro believed that deep beneath it lies the legendary Seal of Saint Simeon, a sacred seal placed there centuries ago by Saint Simeon to imprison an ancient evil. He fears that the seal is weakening and that something dark is trying to return. While examining the model, Juana finds a hidden note inside and secretly keeps it. Rocco then plays an audio message left by Father Ciro, in which he says only one line, "Burn the den." After that, Rocco asks Angel to bring Father Quina. When Father Quina and Juana see each other, they become emotional and warmly hug. Later that night, while lying on her bed, Juana reads the note Ciro hid inside the church model. It says, Saint Simeon buried the white nun in his burrow. The white nun buried the mistress in her shroud. The mistress buried the dry children, and they will bury us. As she reads it, she remembers the day of her wedding at St. Simeon Church, when her husband looked at the statue of St. Simeon. Suddenly, in the present, Juana feels a sharp pain in her stomach and realizes she is bleeding heavily. She collapses and finds herself in a strange place, where she sees Miguel standing in the distance. She calls out to him, asking him to wake up and saying she is with him. Suddenly, he says, "The dead want the dead," and the scene cuts to black. Later, Juana and Mara are in the library studying the history of Old Madrid and its church. Juana asks the librarian to photocopy a map, but she refuses at first. When Juana shows her ID card, the woman recognizes her and introduces herself as Esther, an old friend from when Juana lived in Old Madrid. Esther asks where she disappeared to, and Juana tells her that she is now a nun. Esther then agrees to photocopy the map for her and tells her not to mention it to anyone. After a while, Juana leaves the library, while Mara continues researching the dark history of the town. She reads about the possessed nuns of St. Simeon, memories of barbarism, the fascist bombardment of Madrid, and something called the House of Mortal Sin. She then asks Esther for maps related to the bombardment of Madrid. While Esther goes to get them, Mara is suddenly haunted by the terrifying vision of a white nun, which disappears just as quickly. The next day, Mara asks Father Quina about the house of mortal sin. He explains that it was a place where unmarried pregnant women were sent. They were covered with veils and never saw sunlight again. Those who had no money were forced to serve those who did. As for the children, he says no one really knows what happened to them. He assumes they were sent to hospices or orphanages run by the nuns, but there are no birth records in those places. Later, Mara tells the others about the research she did in the library on Old Madrid. She explains that before St. Simeon Church existed, there were records of anti-clerical propaganda claiming that the nuns buried children there who were born wrong. Just then, a man arrives carrying a box and approaches the group. He tells Juana that they are talking about her, and they know she is there. Then he turns to Father Quina and says that the dry children want him too. Suddenly, he becomes terrified after seeing a demonic mistress standing behind Wana, something only he can see. In panic, he runs outside and is hit by a car. Everyone rushes after him, and Quina picks up the box the man was carrying, only to find the old dead body of a baby inside. Later that night, Mara asks Juana if the rumors about her husband are true. Juana admits that they are. His name was Salo, and he took his own life. She says she remembers the exact moment he changed. She left St. Simeon Church feeling as though she had married a completely different man. They had several sessions with Father Quina, who tried to help him and even performed exorcisms, but nothing truly worked. Later, Rocco became determined to replace Quina, and Juana did not know how to face everything. She tells Mara that during Rocco's exorcism of Salo, just before the demon left his body, it shouted, "The devil will be back for you." A few days later, Salo seemed completely fine, but one day he told Juana that he felt she no longer loved him, which was why he had consumed rat poison. Soon after, he vomited black liquid and died. In the present, Juana tells Mara that shortly after Salo's death, her parents also died, and Rocco took care of both her and Miguel until they stopped being useful to him. Mara says she heard that Miguel saw something when he was little. Juana replies that both of them did. They both witnessed something, and it changed them forever. She says that day, a door was opened, and that place hurt them and continues to hurt people. After that incident, Miguel began suffering from terrible night terrors. Juana tells Mara about the song their mother used to sing to them, and Mara surprisingly knows it too. Mara asks how long Miguel remained like that. Juana explains that after her husband died, they realized they were not just night terrors. She reveals that Miguel has a gift. He can be in two places at once. Mara is shocked and says that only saints can do that. Juana replies that Miguel is blessed with the gift of bilocation. Overcome with emotion, Juana lies down on her bed in tears, and Mara comforts her, saying that Juana is her favorite sister. Juana admits that she is afraid that one day Miguel may not find his way back. The next morning, the four of them head toward the church. Juana hesitates, but Father Quina reassures her that he will not let anything happen to her. As they enter St. Simeon, they kneel down and pray to God. They then move forward, unlock a door, and step inside, stunned by the vast space beneath the church. Suddenly, Father Quina notices a tomb in the distance and tells everyone that it is a false tomb. No one was ever buried there. He explains that the tombstone was placed there to stop anyone from crossing to the other side. He and Juana then push aside a stone book, revealing a secret passage. Quina warns them that the only way to return alive is to stay together and always keep God in their hearts. They descend into the underground basement, which leads into a dark cave, while Angel begins recording everything for evidence. As they move deeper, a voice whispers in Juana's ear, "The dry children do not wait." Suddenly, her lamp bursts, and Quina reminds her that they cannot separate even for a second. Terrified and praying, they continue forward until they hear the sound of flowing water. Angel realizes it is the Abronigal, the buried river that once flowed before Madrid was built over it. Soon, they reach a horrifying burial site. Sticky flesh like ropes and twisted bodies reveal how something evil has been feeding on the victims and spreading corruption. Angel records everything while Juana and Mara examine the remains. Mara says she has never seen a burial like this before. Juana collects a sample of the strange material wrapped around the bodies. As Angel leaves his camera recording, and Mara takes a photograph, one of the dead bodies suddenly haunts them, and then returns to its lifeless state. Quina says that this place is forsaken by God. Just then, Angel hears a strange sound, and they all move toward its source. They move deeper into the cave, and finally their eyes fall upon the Seal of San Simeon. Everyone feels relieved and happy to have found it. They notice that something is written on it in Arabic, and Angel tries to decode it while taking pictures for evidence. Juana advises that they should take the seal with them. With Mara's help, they begin opening the seal, but the moment it is disturbed, they realize they have accidentally released something evil. Terrified, they all run out of the cave in panic. Later, they present the seal to Rocco. Juana insists that no one else must ever go down there, saying that the church is an anathema, it is cursed by God, and Rocco knows it. Father Quina supports her, warning that no one should ever set foot inside St. Simeon again. Rocco then tells them that their mission is over, and they are free to leave. When Quina questions this, Rocco says he is transferring him to another church. It is also revealed that Angel is Rocco's nephew. Realizing Rocco's true intentions, they leave his office, disturbed. At this point, the truth about Rocco becomes clear. He was never truly helping them. He had secretly been serving the dark force all along. His real mission was to guide Father Angel and Juana to the seal so it could be broken. Juana was especially important because of her connection to the supernatural events since childhood, making her a key part of the ritual. Angel realizes too late that Rocco had been leading them toward darkness from the very beginning. He tells Rocco that he always saw him as his role model, but now he must question whether he is truly serving God or some other master, especially after seeing the catastrophe they have unleashed. Later, Angel drops Juana and Mara back at their convent and indirectly confesses that he has feelings for Juana, but she leaves without responding. She then goes to see Miguel, who is bedridden and seriously ill. The next day, Rocco suddenly grows weak and finds Miguel sitting in front of him. Miguel tells him that this is only the beginning and that he will soon become even sicker. Seeing Miguel there terrifies Rocco. He reminds him that he had sent him to the convent and asks how he could possibly be here. Miguel calmly replies that he is in both places at once. Just then, Rocco receives a call from Mother Superior, who fearfully tells him that Miguel is levitating in front of her at the convent. Hearing this, Rocco is shaken with fear. He tells Miguel that his faith is strong, but Miguel replies that if his faith were true, he would not use the dead to make the living believe. Rocco responds that without fear, there is no faith, that fear is a necessary evil. At the same time, Father Quina arrives at the church alone, carrying flammable liquid. He walks forward while praying and kneels before the altar. Suddenly, he hears someone whisper his name, and soon multiple voices begin surrounding him. Terrified, he shouts, "Get out of my head!" And everything falls silent. He then begins pouring the flammable liquid around the church while continuing to pray. Just then, he notices terrifying entities sitting inside the church, and their presence fills him with fear. Meanwhile, Rocco is seen watching the video recording Angel made during their mission. In it, he sees the dead bodies the group had found in the cave, but he becomes terrified when one of the bodies starts moving toward him. He tries to stop the video, but it doesn't stop. The entity then comes out of the screen and keeps moving closer to him. In fear, Rocco falls out of the window and dies. The scene then cuts to Miguel, who is still levitating, surrounded by the sisters as they pray. Juana is also present there. Suddenly, White Nun appears, grabs Miguel, and drags him into its world. We then see Quina trying to burn the church by lighting a match, but the mistress blows it out and screams loudly. On the other hand, Juana tells Mara that she wants to save her brother and go back to the den, and Mara supports her decision. However, when they reach St. Simeon Church, Angel tells them that both Quina and his uncle Rocco are dead. The police officers do not allow them to enter the church, and at that moment, Angel remembers seeing in the church model that Ciro had found another way to the den. They rush to Esther and ask her for a map of the specific sewers in the area. Esther helps them get the map from the archive, but she warns them that 20 years ago, the passage was sealed because they had found a bomb there. The three of them hurry to the sewer and manage to enter it. As they move forward, they find signs that they are heading in the right direction. A little further ahead, Mara bumps into something, and they realize it is a bomb. Suddenly, they hear whispers coming from ahead, and they move forward to find a hole in the ground. Juana volunteers to go down, saying that Miguel is down there. At that moment, strange demonic voices begin rising from below. Mara says they are trying to scare them. Angel replies that these entities feed on the darkest parts of the soul. They need fear to survive. Juana says they will not succeed. With the help of a rope, she begins climbing down into the hole. The voices try to weaken her by reminding her that she let Salo die. Suddenly, her hand touches the wall and it burns her. Gathering her courage, she manages to climb all the way down. Because of her past connection to the haunting, she is not just a victim. She is part of what the evil needs to complete its return. Suddenly, a mistress lunges at Wana and tries to restrain her with flesh like ropes. But Wana fights back and manages to free herself. Just then, Salo's ghost crawls toward her and tries to attack her. Juana firmly tells him, "You are dead, Salo. Let Miguel go." Salo replies that Miguel will never leave and will stay with them forever. Without fear, Juana says she came there for Miguel and will leave with him. She pushes Salo back, and as he screams, he crawls toward the white nun and disappears into her body. Juana then calls out for Miguel, who appears behind her in a possessed state. At that moment, the white nun reveals that her body is made up of many dead people, and she is holding flesh like ropes connected to Quina, Rocco, Ciro, Mistress, and Salo. Determined, Juana says, "How long will you hide your face from me? How long will I carry sorrow in my heart every day? How long will my enemy rise over me?" She begins to pray while holding the cross on her necklace. As the reflection of the cross falls on Quina, he breaks free from the possession and sees Juana standing in front of him. He tells her, "I told you I would never leave you. A small act of love can defeat death. Have faith." Juana admits that she is afraid, and Quina reminds her that when she was a little girl, he told her that whenever she felt scared, she should sing softly. He then begins singing with her, the same song their mother used to sing for Miguel and Juana. But suddenly, the white nun possesses Quina again. Juana then notices that Miguel is also under the demon's control, and she starts singing the same song to him. Hearing it, Miguel slowly begins breaking free from the possession. Step by step, he joins in singing, strengthening his faith until he is completely free. He then realizes that both he and Juana have grown old. Juana tells him they need to leave, but Miguel says that if he leaves, the evil will not stay buried and will rise again. He explains that he has spent so much time with them that he now understands the parasite. When Juana asks what parasite, he tells her that what lives there is a living being, a parasite, and the shadows are its prisoners. He says the creature is not from this world, but he knows how to take it far away from there forever. He tells Juana that he wants her to live for both of them. We then see Miguel digging up the bomb hidden in the sewer and setting it up inside the den. The scene cuts to Juana, Angel, and Mara rushing out of the church, while Miguel tells her again that he needs her to live for both of them. Juana smiles and runs away. Moments later, a massive explosion destroys the church, and the demon is stopped from fully entering the world. The screen fades to black, and with that, the movie comes to an end. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the chills, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a scare. Until next time, stay spooky.